Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So should Senate Republicans take the advice of Joe Biden from 1992 when he said action on Supreme Court nomination must be put off until after the election campaign is over, or Joe Biden of 2016 who insists the president's nominee should get full consideration?
Kevin, I'd go with both because Vice President Biden in 1992, in the same speech that you noted, said if the president consults and cooperates with the Senate or moderates his selections absent consultation, then his nominees may enjoy my support, as did Justices Kennedy and Souter. So, we've observed in the past that we can spend a lot of time sort of throwing quotes back and forth, and I think that's sort of indicative of, some comments that the president made last week about how this process has become politicized. But when you consider the record of Senator Biden and his service on the Judiciary Committee, it's a record that's hard to beat. When you consider that he presided over the last time that the Senate voted to confirm a Supreme Court nominee in an election year, that was a nominee that was put forward by a Republican president, and Joe Biden was chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee and ensured that Justice Kennedy got both a fair hearing and a timely yes or no vote. That's what we're asking the Senate to do. There are a variety of examples of this. Senator Biden, more than anyone else, has ensured the fair confirmation of 9 Supreme Court justices. I don't think there's any other senator that can stake a claim to that kind of record. He wasn't just in the United States Senate so that he could confirm Supreme Court justices appointed by Democrats. He often presided, even in difficult situations like an election year, of ensuring that even appointees of a Republican president were confirmed to the Supreme Court. So, I know there's often this old adage that sometimes politicians are reduced to the expression that people should do as I say, not as I did. In this instance, we actually want the Republicans in the Senate to do precisely as Vice President Biden did when he served in the Senate. And if so, it will allow the president's nominee, when he puts that individual forward, to get a fair hearing, to get a timely yes or no vote, and for the Supreme Court of the United States to function precisely as the founders intended.
Obviously, senators are going to pick and choose quotes, but would you acknowledge that the comments Senator McConnell was speaking on the Senate floor, quoting the Vice President, would you acknowledge that this has made it more difficult, more unlikely that the nominee will get a hearing and a vote this year?
I would not, precisely because of Vice President Biden's record when he served on the Judiciary Committee. Let me give you, I cited the examples of Justice Kennedy and his overall record of confirming Supreme Court justices. There are other elements of his record that are just as enlightening. Vice President Biden, when he presided over the confirmation hearing of Justice Thomas, he did not support Justice Thomas's nomination to the Supreme Court, but yet he allowed Justice Thomas's nomination to move through the Judiciary Committee and move on to the floor of the United States Senate. That is exactly the kind of commitment to the functioning of the institution of the United States Senate that we'd like to see Republicans demonstrate. And again, that isn't just a matter of doing as Senator Biden recommends, or as then Senator Biden recommended. That's doing as then Senator Biden actually did. And that's what we're counting on Republicans in the United States Senate to do. And again, they shouldn't do it because they are forced into some position based on awkward quotes that they themselves have given. And goodness knows there's plenty of them. We'll see how long this goes. Maybe we can discuss some of those as well. But in some ways, the most important element of this is they have a constitutional duty. They swore to uphold an oath and to fulfill the responsibility that the institution of the United States Senate has to consider the president's nominee, to give that individual a fair hearing, and to give that person a yes or no vote. And I know there are at least 2 Senate Republicans yesterday who acknowledged that oath and acknowledged that when the president nominates someone, that hearings should go forward. I know Senator Kirk himself specifically referenced the oath that he took, not just as a member of the United States Senate, but also as a member of our armed forces. He certainly takes that oath seriously, and he that giving the President's nominee a fair hearing is what that oath requires. And hopefully he will be able to persuade other members in his conference of the importance of that oath.